last podcast of our year. Our 1 year bash is coming up, man. It's our final one. It's a big one.
I get to be the final guest?
But shit, he's already talking. Yeah, we don't get to do the intro. Yeah, man.
I get to be the final guest, mystery guest.
You're good.
Or do I do the lower mystery guest voice?
You know who that sounds like, though? That sounds a lot like somebody we all are very familiar with.
Who's that?
You, Modson, that's who.
Bring it, baby, bring it!
Start the show. The Good Life with DT. It's Nicole. Welcome to the Good Life.
You are now listening to the Good Life Podcast.
Good Life. Good Life. These boys are crazy.
You are now listening to the Good Life Podcast.
Good Life. What? A Good Life.
Bro, so something's crazy. We made a Facebook post about this today, man. So me and Spicoli started this July of 23. And when he came on, we both had like our top 10 gets. And you were in both of our top 10s. We both we got to get Mod on. And so I emailed, it wasn't the right contact back in July of 23. And I was like, yo, it was like Gavin Rossdale's agent, and they had you on there or something. And they were like, oh, we're not with Modson anymore. And I was like, shit. So like I sent like 6 or 7 different emails out trying to get you on. And then you came to Omaha last time, and I was like, fuck, man, we got to find out how to get a hold of this dude. And I finally got the right contact for you. So we get to end it a year after trying with you, man, for our year bash, man. So that's dope as shit.
Wait, that's actually awesome. Did you guys catch anyone else on that top 10 list?
Yeah, we got Story of the Year, Hollywood Undead. Who else did we get? Spicoli was on there.
We got Rockers Otherwise, Islander, let's see, Tommy Vex. We got him on as well.
King ISO.
King ISO. We got Red.
Mayday Parade.
Dude, good work.
And I told him, man, we're gonna kick it off right, man. I'm gonna Nardwuar this thing, man. Let's do it. So like I said,
All right, come on, bro.
I know you personally. I look different, man. You look different. I knew you when you were about man, you had to have been 16, dude. I was probably 18.
Yeah.
So me and you used to freestyle. So listen.
Bro, I feel like I to be totally honest with you, bro, I feel like a lot of the genesis of Modson happened in Omaha.
Yeah. With Haven 21.
With Haven 21, at a girl named Dana's house. I still see Christian 3 times a year. We randomly run into each other.
We just were talking to Christian about you on the last podcast we did with him.
Oh, dude, I love him so much, man.
So yeah, all right, so I knew you was Derek, right? And somebody in like, it had to been 2012, they're like, have you heard of this cat Modson? And I'm like, no, who is it? And they showed me Stoner Girl. And as soon as I heard it, I was like, I heard the singing voice, and I was like, that's fucking Pat Brown, dude. And I knew it right away. So I came up to Minnesota to watch you guys. I stayed at Pat's mom's house. I opened up for you guys at the Rock a few times in Papillion. I used to rap. I was like the dude that rapped in all the rock bands and shit. And me and you would go out back and freestyle. But at that time, you were just like this dope ass drummer. So when people now are like, can you believe that he used to be a drummer? And I'm like, yo, he was one of like the most electrifying drummers to ever watch. Like I used to freestyle with him before anyone knew he could rap, I think.
Yeah, 100%. You're like, can you believe he's not a drummer?
Yeah, exactly, man. So like, yeah, so I remember you from the semester days, bro. That's when I knew you.
Bro, when I really like think back to like moments of my youth and like pivotal moments, like The Rock holds this place in my whole history of everything I've done as like the first time feeling like maybe I could really make it in this. I mean, I always had that. I was always flying on faith, right? But like with The Rock, dude, we as this semester went on a tour. It was our first tour ever, and we went and played probably 25 shows to less than 25 people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? we were playing to no one. Like really, really on that grind of playing free shows just to tour, just to simply be like, all we ever wanted to do our whole life was tour, you know? And we went and did it. And I swear this tour like ended at the Rock. And I was the one who was setting up this whole tour. And so I was just finding bands on MySpace and being like, yo, we're coming into town. Can we play a show? This and that. Randomly came upon Haven 21. They're like, sure, yeah, come pull up. No idea what was coming. And like we ended this tour at the Rock playing to, I mean, okay, as 17-year-old kid, it felt like I was playing an arena. So in my mind, when I look back, I'm like, was it 1,500 cap, 1,000 cap? It was probably like 500 cap, but I can't even like put myself in that position to even remember what it would really be. But I remember just playing that show being like, dude, this is insane.
Yeah.
We're from out of town. We're playing in front of hundreds of kids. We're selling merch. Like it immediately became like our second hometown.
I remember. So, yeah, and you guys just became a thing with Haven. Like, you guys played with them a ton. And then Pat one time was like, yo.
Because we figured out that we could play somewhere else besides our hometown and actually do something.
And that's what Pat said to me. He's like, if you want to see something nuts, man, you should come see us play up in Minnesota. And I was like, why? And he's like, just come up. So I was like, all right, dude. So I came up and I met him. I think it was at his dad's house. I think he had a tennis court in the backyard or something, right? Is that
was it?
Yeah. I met Pat at that house, and then we went to the venue, and the line to get into that thing was insane. And I was just like,
dude. Do you remember what venue it was?
I don't remember the name.
It would have been maybe it was either, I will say, the Toy Box, or could have been the Garage.
Was it the Garage?
I
know that we had to
doubt
like
it was
drive, or we had to hide somebody in the trunk. Pat said, because they weren't on the list. We had to like drive around into this big parking lot where all the bands went on like the right side of it. I think
that might be the Garage. It might have been the Garage.
I think it was, dude. It was a dope venue though.
Yeah. I mean, bro, we really like cultivated a scene up there, and that's why like the whole I'll never stop saying the scene, because for me it really is. It really was like the definition of what I think a scene is. A scene for me was like I came from a different city than Pat Brown, right? Yeah. And we were all from different cities, and we were all the outcasts in our cities. But when we would go and be able to find each other, it was like that's what made a scene, was that we didn't have a scene in our own town. We had to physically go out and find other people from other cities that listened to the same music, that felt the same way. And through that, we created this like actual little group of like 1,000 people that, I mean, we would play shows like every weekend, every weekend of every month. We'd play shows. There was like 4 different venues we'd go to. We'd play one every single weekend. And it was like, dude, that was like our whole youth, dude, was doing that.
Yeah, man. And it's like, I've always explained, anytime someone brings your name up, I tell them that story. I'm like, yo, like I actually remember that dude. And there's 2 personalities I'll never forget in my life. It's you and Christian Skirmont. And like, bro, like straight up, man, like after the semester and like 4-Letter Lie and Scary Kids, Scaring Kids, bro, like I've been rooting for you since like semester days. So see where you're at now is just, man, it's fucking amazing, bro. I'm so happy for you.
We'll be back after a quick break.
The Good Life Podcast with DT and Spicoli, proud to be partnered up with Sharf Painting. Over 16 years experience and family owned for 3. Put trusted hands on your interior and exterior painting needs. With summertime around the corner, have Sharf power wash your deck, stain your fence, and get 10% off. Now's the time to get outdoor ready. Sharf Painting. Reach out to them on Facebook for a bid. Sharf Painting LLC. That's SCHARFF Painting LLC. Or Sharf Painting@gmail.com. You can also call 402-637-9342.
Man, thank you for saying that, bro. Like that really means a lot to me. I mean, I hold a lot of those things really close to my heart, because I'm just like, when I'm having those moments in a career, which now, like you said, dude, like we met when I was 16, 17 years old. I'm looking at, like, if I count that as part of my career, I'm looking at like a 2-decade career right now, right? And when I have those moments where I'm like, just, it becomes a race out here in a lot of ways, where you're trying to either keep up with yourself, or you're keeping up with the times of what's going on and how to utilize these different things in the industry, because it's the Wild West. I mean, a completely huge shift has happened every 4 to 5 years of my career, from going from, the internet becoming a thing,
Right.
and then going from going from like dial-up internet to then MySpace. From then going to MySpace, I'll never forget when Pat Brown hit me up, literally in, like, I don't know, at the start of Twitter, being like, "Hey, bro, you got to start a Twitter." You know what I'm saying? To then figuring out, okay, there's a new space. To then that changing to okay, vlogs on YouTube. I'll never forget bringing around a little flip cam with me everywhere for 3 years. You know what I'm saying? And then going into iMovie and chopping up this stuff, and then from that to turning into like Spotify. I mean, I'm not even kidding. Like, up until 2017, 2018, I didn't even know what a playlist on Spotify
Right.
was. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? I was still uploading music, being like, okay, people find it, I guess, and like, it's just this constantly changing thing that you have to work with. You can't be like the guy who's like, man, you never want to be the jaded guy that's like, man, this is ruining music. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, it's so funny because, I've just started really figuring out how to make TikTok work for me in a way that feels authentic, but that was like my last thing. And then, I mean, we already know something new will come around in the next 2-3 years, and we'll have to figure out something all over again. But saying all this to say that, like, when I feel, when I feel, what's the saying that everyone says? Like, I'm drawing a blank right now, but when you feel like you're imposter syndrome, when I'm having that imposter syndrome, all these people are so much better than me, and like blah blah blah, I do at least have one thing that's like, I have been doing this for over half of my existence on this planet, and that makes me feel deserving of where I'm at. That reminds me,
So does that? So obviously you went from like drumming in a band to frontman mode, right? And so you came from the era where like you had to grind, like you're out on the road trying to sell CDs and trying to sell merch. Do you look at it like it's easier now, or is it more difficult now?
Oh man, I can never say it's not quote unquote easier. I mean, the only thing that's not easier now is that there's so many more. There's so much more going on, right? And I mean that, what I mean when I say that is there's just so many more artists that you are releasing with, that you are a personality on the internet with. But I mean, like, dude, like, we used to have to go to Kinko's, bro, and print 1,000 flyers.
Damn.
And go around town and walk up to strangers and go on campuses. I mean, bro, I got kicked off of the campus in Omaha. I'll never forget. Me and Haven 21 went to one of the high schools or the campuses or something when I was probably 18 years old, and like, we had to go around all these places. But I'll never forget, like, the cops coming and like taking us off, and we were all punk kids, like, man, fuck you, trying to promote a show, blah, blah, let us skate here. But like, what that turned into was like, if you played a show and only 10 people showed up, it was completely your fault, right? It was because you didn't go out and make enough hand-to-hand contact, and you didn't have enough charisma in that 5-second moment that you had with this stranger to make them feel like they wanted to come see your show, And now it's like, dude, I mean, you can touch the entire world, bro. You're not just dealing with your town, So I'll just never complain about where music's at, or the industry, or having to make content, or any of that kind of stuff. I'll never complain about that, because like, I just felt like we did have to really um, like the in-person thing, it kind of changes your DNA. Like having a conversation through the internet, it'll never be the same as having an in-person conversation and having to walk up to a
For
stranger.
sure.
That still feels like you still have to break this barrier within you. And like I did that in an early age where I was like, all right, dude, I'm totally down to be the weird kid that walks up to you like, hey, do you like music? You know what I'm saying? Like I just was raised that way. What I always say is that like it removed the bone of embarrassment from my body, at a very young age, where it was like I completely had to stop feeling embarrassed to do things like that. And so now in this day and age, like I really don't have that much of a battle with posting stuff and feeling like embarrassed about it, or like, do I look cool doing it? You know what I'm saying? Like I really don't have that because I remember what it was like to have to do all that in person.
Oh yeah, man. Well, shit.
Yeah,
we
well,
got the history out of the way. Let's get to Mod's son. Yes, Macaulay? I know you got some, some questions you want to ask. Hey, let's do it.
Man, it's been a wild run for you. Like, I heard you on, I think it was Amazon Music, and I was on rock radio for like 20 years, and we had this feature called just like the Spotlight of the Week. And once I heard Bones, I'm like, game over. I heard Bones, and the first thing I did was put that in the Spotlight of the Week, and I was playing that. And people were like, this is Mod's son. And they're like, how do you spell that? How do you say his name? Where's he from? And I'm like, I think he's from Minnesota. And then when I was selling when I was telling David about it, I was like, he was telling me, oh, you mean Derek? I'm like, who the hell is Derek, dude? I don't know Derek. I know Mod's son.
Bro, I haven't heard that name in years and years, my boy.
I know, it's crazy, man.
And then I was looking more into the album, and I saw you were working with John Feldmann, and I felt like that was just a level up right there. Do you think working with him kind of changed the trajectory of everything?
100%, bro, without a doubt. I mean, that was like a lifelong fulfilling prophecy for me. I mean, I'll never forget sitting on the 6th stair at my high school skateboarding, hearing the Used album for the first time, falling in love with this band, looking into it, watching a documentary where this producer was throwing trash cans at Burt McCracken to get him to scream. and then, down the road a little bit, Four Letter Lie gets signed to Victory. They go, give us a list of dream producers that you want to work with. And the first person on my list was John Feldmann, and it was out of the question. It was like Victory was like, nah, yeah, that's not happening. This is a producer that let's lower the tier a little bit. So I had always wanted to work with John Feldmann my entire career, dude. And it's a really beautiful thing how it worked out. Like I went in to do a writing session for another band, and that band was working with John Feldmann, and I had just kind of had like a really great run with writing. I had just come off of doing a song with MGK that did really well. And I wasn't like really trying to like do a bunch of writing for other people. And the second that I heard John Feldmann's name, I was like, okay, cool. Like, I'm going to go in specifically so I can be in the same room with this guy. My intentions were never to be like, I want this guy to want to work with me. It was just like, cool. Like, I've always wanted to be in the same room with this guy, meet him at the very least. So I went in there, and it was really funny. Like, we started, I grabbed an acoustic guitar. We went outside. John Feldmann was doing something else at the time that I got there. So it was me and this band, and I grabbed an acoustic guitar, and we went outside. We sat, we started writing this idea, and blah, 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 blah. Came into the studio. Finally, Feldmann's done with his other stuff. He comes into the room, and we start playing this song. And he's like, okay, cool. That's cool. I like it. And we went, it wasn't really moving. It wasn't really going anywhere. We spent like 20 minutes. It wasn't really moving. We had like this one part, and it wasn't really painting the picture to go anywhere else. So we go outside, take like a smoke break or something, and Feldmann comes running outside the door, and he goes, Mott, he goes, get in here real quick. And he goes, go get behind the mic. And he pulls up a song that this band was working on that didn't have any vocals on it yet. It was just music. And he didn't even let me hear it. Okay? He just said, put the headphones on. He hit record, and he was just like, he basically put me through the test right there on the spot.
Wow.
Okay, let me see what you got. Okay. And I went in, and dude, I spent 10 years professionally as a career rapping, 5 years before that freestyling, okay, as we spoke about earlier. Dude, I'm not going to sit there in silence. You know what I'm saying?
It's showtime,
Like,
baby.
us boys that learn how to freestyle, yo, that has taken me a long way. When you've done years of freestyling, you already, when you say the word head, you already have 15 words lined up in the back of your head to rhyme with that, right? So you're just like able to fire off in a different way, okay? And then again, the removing the bone of embarrassment. So I'm cool with sounding like an idiot. I don't even know what key this song is in. I'm just going to go, right? And I go, and boys, I'm not going to tell you, I killed it. I crushed it. The thing that I did first take ended up being the thing that ended up on the song for this band. But he basically looked at me and he was like, I want to work with this guy. And so he brought me back into the studio, I want to say, maybe a week later. You know, he got my information to send me this song that we worked on for this other band. He's like, yo, come in and let's work together on something. Dude, I came in that day, and within 6 hours, we made Karma and Bones on the same day. And he didn't even know I was a drummer yet. So we're making this song, and I'm like, cool, let me go get on the drums. And he's like, word? And I go get on the drums, and he's just like, oh my God. I mean, you know, we just immediately had this like, oh, we can do something with this, you know? And to make us, you know, Karma and Bones on the same day for me is probably a moment in my career that, like, you know, you can't plan on those things happening. You can't expect that. You'd be really selfish and delusional to expect that every time you go into the studio, you're gonna make 2 songs that change your career in 6 hours.
Even
you know?
one.
Yeah, that's
even one. No, absolutely,
And those are
bro.
both
Even
fucking
one.
bangers.
You know?
right. Love those songs.
Those are songs that changed the trajectory in my career, without a doubt. And so, you know, just coming off the fumes of that, it was like, oh, we're doing an album together, you know. And Internet Killed the Rockstar was made in maybe 15 days.
Are you serious?
A little over
Damn, dude.
Yeah.
That's impressive. I mean, you listen to that album front to back. I mean, and then you put out the deluxe with what's this, Heavy with Black Bear, or
Yep.
yeah. So I was like, man, dude. And then you put out Annoying, and then you put out an acoustic version of In Flames. I mean, all those songs on there, dude. You had me in a chokehold with that album. It was so good.
Hey, thank you, bro. I will never not look at that album as like a really big turning point, and also a really big moment in my life that was like all the things you did as a teenager, you know, from age 13 to, well, let's just say 13 to like 21, before I really, you know, moved into doing Just Mod Son. All those things really paid off on that record. You know, when I was rapping for 10 years, it was like a new life, you know, and I wasn't able to really completely utilize all the drive-through bands that I listened to, or all the you know, the 10,000 hours of drumming that I did. But Internet Killed the Rockstar was like, okay, you can feel a little bit of rap in that. You can feel it, you know, you can feel that rhythm, but you can also feel the fact that I can sing you right now every single New Found Glory song.
I was gonna say,
you can also feel that I literally, you know, can play every Blink-182 song on drums. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can feel it all, everything that I did my entire music career on one album.
I was gonna say, you said Drive Through. I was like, I'm hoping you're talking about Drive Through Records, bro, because Finch was my shit, dude.
Woo! I just went down a Finch rabbit hole the other day because I forgot how good What It Is to Burn is. Oh my God,
that
bro.
album is amazing.
I mean, I just went and saw The Starting Line 3 weeks ago, and it was the best show it was the best show I've seen in 5 years, dude.
Dude, I miss those days. That's what I was gonna say. You got to work with Feldman, man. It's like, fuck, man, dude. When like I said, back when, like, I knew who, like, you know, back in those days, those were the bands, like, we were like, oh shit, man, it's like they used in Story of the Year, and then
that was our Rolling Stones. You know what I'm saying? Those were our posters on the wall. You know, we're the drive-through bands, we're the scene kids, we're the emo bands. Like that's what it was. You know.
Hell yeah, man. Yeah, that's the Warped Tour I remember. Like those kind of Warped Tours. Yeah, dude.
Oh, 100%. Drive-Through Records had a stage
Yep.
1 year at Warped Tour, bro. I did not leave. I only left to see the Used because it was the same year. But I watched every band. Like, I mean, dude, I bought every album from any drive-through band that ever existed, all the way up until the last bands of like Socratic and there's a few other ones. Yeah.
Me and my wife went down the
All of them.
drive-through rabbit hole like 3 weeks ago because I was telling her about Victory Records and drive-through, and she's like, "What is that?" And I was like, "Yes, I get to teach you some shit." So like, I was like, "Owl the Spirit, dude." I was like, "Yes."
I just remembered recently. I mean, I'm gonna go on 2 great drive-through record stories just real quick because I don't know if you guys have a time limit, but I definitely don't, bro. I'm just chilling today. So
now we're good.
Anyways, like first drive-through record story, dude. Junior year, spring break. My father lived in Long Beach, California. I came out to Long Beach, California for spring break, and Richard and Stephanie, the owners of Drive-Through, let me intern at Drive-Through Records. So my dad would drive me up to Thousand Oaks, and I interned on my spring break junior year at Drive-Through Records, like packing up CDs, and it was like one of the coolest times of my life. Like being around all of it, like dude, I was a kid in a candy store, bro, for real, you know. And then moving forward, Drive-Through Records also changed my life in these other ways that like. So I grew up in Minnesota, right? And I grew up on a farm. And I grew up on a farm that was famously a mile away from Bob Dylan's farm that he owns in Minnesota. And as it stands, you know, Bob Dylan's my favorite artist in the world. It'll never change. He's my absolute hero, right? But growing up, having my mom and dad be like, Bob Dylan lives right there. Bob Dylan, you don't live. Your parents don't. You don't want to like what your parents like, right? So like. I didn't fall in love with Bob Dylan until Drive-Through Records dropped a compilation called Listen to Bob Dylan, where all the drive-through bands covered a Bob Dylan song. Yeah. And that is when I connected to Bob Dylan. And that is what put me into the rabbit hole of studying everything Bob Dylan did. And without that album, I can't say that I would have found Bob Dylan as my favorite artist and be where I'm at today, because he has been the for Mod's son, he has been the teacher for me to be where I'm at. Without studying his career path, without studying his writing, without studying everything that he did in terms of being ahead of the audience, like I would not be here today. So like I still talk to Richard and Stephanie at Drive-Through, and I tell them these stories, and it's amazing, bro.
Yeah, Bob Dylan University right there, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Took you to school. You learned some things. I mean, that's your college. You learned
100%. It's also the college that I tell all these younger artists nowadays that they get very confused, and you know they have giant moments of ups and downs, right? Where my career was kind of just this steady going up because like going viral like didn't really exist at the start of my career. I don't even think people knew what that word was yet in terms of what happens with music, you know. But these newer artists nowadays, they have these giant peaks and valleys, and I tell them all, I'm like, man, just I don't care if you don't like Bob Dylan's voice, just study this man's career. Just study how he was always ahead of the audience, and he would get booed off stage when he went electric and played like a Rolling Stone. And, you know, a year later, the audience finally liked Like a Rolling Stone, and he's already moving on to, now he's going to go make a country record. And they hated that record. And as soon as they liked that record, he went to go make a blues record. And they hated that record. As soon as they liked it, he went and made a gospel record. Like, this man, you know, famously never allowed his success to be in the hands of the audience. And that's just like, I'm just like, just study this, kids. Just study it.
And I mean, like, to be honest, you most of your shit on TikTok, yeah, it pretty much goes fucking viral, man. Like, and I get what you're saying, but like, I know you incorporate your mom into a lot of stuff too, which is super dope, dude. Everything I see with your mom, every time I see it, I'm like, oh, that's so badass, dude. Like, I love that.
Yeah, I mean, bro, my mom, you know, like she, you know, supported my entire musical career. She knew I wasn't ever going to college. She knew I wasn't ever going to get a regular job. She was always just like, I know you're going to do art in some way or another. I'm gonna support it. And then my sister works with me. You know, my sister, she tour manages me. She does my PR. She, you know, day-to-day stuff, like everything. So like I really keep this very family oriented, you know, my career path, you know.
I got to tell you though, that Single Mother song that came out on your last album, I hate crying, dude. I don't want to cry. And the first time I heard that, I'm like, fuck, dude, I don't want to cry. Why'd you do this to me?
I love that, bro.
It was so good. It's so powerful, bro.
Yeah, I fully believe in that song. I mean, I have songs to me that that are win Grammys without ever being heard, you know, and that's one of those for me. Like I look at music like I try to make art and music as if I'm already dead and gone, and remove the expectation from certain things. And that song to me is like a Grammy winning song, you know, because it makes me feel like I've done something special, you know.
Yeah, and then you hit us with that Goo Goo Dolls Iris cover. Yeah. What the? I love it, dude. I was not expecting that.
Yeah, bro. I mean, my last album was called God Save the Teen, and it was like, you know, I was really thinking about things that saved me when I was a younger kid. And like, bro, Iris was one of the first songs I remember that like struck a real emotional chord with me as a young kid. Like I was still like playing sports at the time that I heard Iris. Like I hadn't fully gone into music yet. And I'll never forget hearing those lyrics, bro, and being like, I think I feel something more from this song than I've ever felt from another song, you know?
That music video was the shit too. Iris music video back in the day. I love that shit.
The story of that song too is outrageous as well. Like changed the whole band's career. They were making it for a fucking movie, you know?
Yep.
You talk about the weirdest.
And it got turned down. I had the guys on my radio show, and they were telling the whole story, and it just blew my mind that, like, the whole plane crash thing where they, like, crashed in a plane and almost died, and then they were making this song for this movie, and they you know, they didn't like this song because they first started it, like, just a rock song, and then they switched it to acoustic, and then they're like, yeah, we really like that.
That shit's wild, man.
Yeah, it was – it is a wild story. And then I just interviewed Goo Goo Dolls, and then your album – it like dropped, and I was like, Mod Sun is doing Iris, and then I saw that Goo Goo Dolls like shared like the, you know, your song on their Facebook page. I was like, dude, yes, that is so great.
Yeah, man. I mean, I love that band, bro. I love that band. I love the story of the band. I love the fact that all these songs are in crazy tunings. Like it's just like the fact that Iris goes from 6 to 4 back to 6. Has like a 3.5 minute bridge. Like it's just, you know, stuff that broke all the rules, dude.
Man, like something I can remember about you, man, too, is like, and this will translate into what you're doing now, is as a drummer, you know, there's certain drummers you can't take your eyes off because they're so fucking entertaining. Travis Barker's one of them, dude.
Yeah.
But I remember like watching you on drums, and it's one of those where he's so crazy on the drums, you couldn't take your eyes off him, right? And now you see him as the front man, and it's like, yo, this dude was born to do this. Like you command crowds at your live shows, man. How much fun is it for you just to be up there in the front now and doing all that?
Oh man, I mean, it's really, yeah. I mean, I do feel like in a way that's where that's like where I belong in life. Like I feel like, you know, being able to. It's half entertainment, and it's the other half is like inspiring, you know, like to inspire the people. Like one of the things that I hold really close is like I came from the crowd, right? I came from going to shows to watch bands every single week, and when I stood in the crowd, and trust me, I would fight my way to front row at every show and scream every lyric. And like when I stood in that crowd, I always looked up at the band on stage and I said, I can do that. All right. And like, that's my message to the kids in the crowd, whether they are aspiring artists or entrepreneurs or just people that have a dream that they want to make come true. That may not even be something that they're trying to make a career out of, just something that they want to be able to say they did before they die. Like that's always my message when I'm on stage is like, everything I'm doing here, I want you to know, like, I was not born with any talent. I was not born with any special ability to do this. Like, I came from exactly where you are. And when I looked up at that stage, I said, I can do that. And like, that's my message to the people in the crowd. And then on the other side, it's like entertainment. It's like, bro, again, like my roots are like coming from a place where you couldn't stand you couldn't stand still on stage. You just couldn't. Like, you were not going to make it. Like, you had to have almost more of a stage presence than the music, you know? And so that's just, I don't know how to stand still. You know, this next tour is going to be really fun because, like, you know, I have a gang of new music that, you know, I have one song from my new album that has come out so far. I have this awesome feature dropping next week with this kid named Honest Abe. That's just this amazing song that I'm going to be playing. I have something else coming out with this band called Beauty School Dropout. That's going to be really cool. And then I'm going to drop probably 2 more songs for my album before this tour, but they're all kind of in this new 10-year stretch, you know, because I've tried to change what I'm doing within music every 10 years. You know, my first 10 years was drumming. Second 10 years was rapping. Third 10 years was, you know, more alt-leaning, pop-punk, kind of my roots. And, like, this 10 years is, like, my ode to Bob Dylan, which is definitely, like, me finally picking up a guitar, you know, because, like, I can play guitar, dude. I can play guitar. I can play harmonica. I can do all that. So it's, like, this tour is going to be really fun, bouncing back and forth from the wild and crazy frontman to, you know, spotlight on me playing guitar and harmonica and having this beautiful soundscape behind me with the other members of my band and like really commanding a moment where I'm almost looking for silence, you know, whereas before, all the way up until now, it's been, you better be jumping, you better have your hands up, you better be screaming the lyrics, you better be moving. And now it's like, I'm going to be doing that and matching it with, okay, I want complete and utter silence, and I want you to be able to just be in this moment with me while I'm singing this song, you know?
Hell yeah, man.
That, I think,
Speaking
Yeah,
of
it's a
song
really
that you dropped,
true.
Sunshine.
Liam Gallagher said this amazing thing, dude. Like, I don't know if you ever noticed Liam Gallagher's stage presence, but he's famously said that he has never held a microphone in his life, okay? He's always had the mic on a mic stand with his hands down at his side, okay? And, well, he might grab the mic on the mic stand, but he's never taken the mic off the mic stand, okay? And he said this one amazing thing that is, like, always been something that I've wanted to be able to do forever. And he was like, you got to watch. Have you guys watched the Oasis documentary?
I have not seen it.
No,
yet.
not yet.
Put it on.
Watch tonight. Highly recommended. He says there's this one moment in the documentary where he's playing, like, I want to say Glastonbury. Oasis playing Glastonbury or something. It's like 100,000 people jumping, right? And the scene goes slow motion. And it's Liam Gallagher, and he's just sitting there completely still, staring at the audience. And he does this voiceover on top of it. And he's just like, there's nothing more powerful than being able to command a crowd to jump and not move one bit. And, like, I was just like, oh my God, that is such like a superpower, bro, you know? Because we're in the age of, like, if you don't say hands up, the hands aren't going up. You know what I'm saying? And, like,
Right.
yo, I just, like, you know, so I look forward to moments on this tour where, like, I can stand there and play this fucking song, just me and my guitar and some beautiful stuff going on behind me on stage, and just command a moment, you know, and be looking for something that I've never had before. It's a beautiful challenge, bro, which is what I love to do with this, is, like, keep it funky and, like, always be challenging myself for something more, you know?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was going to say, man, going back to Sunshine that dropped, dude, that song is deep, man. It's so good and so well written, man. That is, that's got to be one of my favorites by you now, bro. That shit is just perfect how you did that.
Man, thank you, bro. Thank you. It's definitely a song that I feel like I was denying making since the start of Mod Sun. I was always like, I don't want to make the Sunshine song. I don't want to make the Sun song. I don't want to make, you know, I don't want to be two finger on the pulse. And then it was just like, dude, I had this thing hit me where I was, you know, the last year of my life, basically exactly 1 year ago, I wasn't certain where my career was going to go. I was actually in a place where I was like, I started making this album. I've made close to 100 songs for this album right now. And I had probably made like 20 songs for this album up until July last year. And it wasn't moving me, you know? I didn't know if music needed me right now. And I was really under the impression, I was like, I might take the next couple of years off music and just paint and just direct and just write, you know? Because why do this if it's not, I've always felt like I was being told to do something, you know, not told by someone, being told by the connection I have to the universe or God or whatever you want to call it. And I wasn't being told anything. And so I was about to take, you know, maybe a couple of years off, and I went back to Minnesota and spent a month back in my hometown. And I really just found the inspiration again and found what, you know, was finally being told what I should do. And I came back and scrapped all the songs that I've made already and was like, I want to make, first off, my goal is to make the most beautiful sound, the most beautiful landscape of sound. So anything I do vocally on top of it is only extra credit. I want the music itself to be so beautiful and touching that without any vocals on it, it's like jazz, bro. Jazz is so good you don't put vocals on it. You feel me? Right? I was like, how can I do that in this space now? Because obviously we know jazz ain't topping the charts, boys. It ain't the 50s. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, how can I make jazz for now, where it's so beautiful that anything I do on top of it is extra credit? And it doesn't mean a giant orchestration. It can be just one guitar. But how can that one guitar be so beautiful that all I have to do is just say my story on top of it, and it's special? And Sunshine happened to be like one of those things where I was just sitting there and I was like, you know, it's funny. I'll tell you the full story, but I'll do it really quick. Like I had a gym membership, and there was this amazing steam room at this gym membership, and every once in a while, like once a month, I'll stay up for like 2 days straight, sometimes 3 days straight, and get that little delusion. It reminds me of my drug addict days, to be honest. And like, you know, I'm not on drugs and I can still feel this like delusional state. So I don't take it too far, but like maybe once a month I'll do something like that. And I was in one of those states and I was like, I'm going to go to, you know, I grew up spending a good amount of time on a reservation in Minnesota where they do a lot of sweat lodges and stuff. And I've done those when I was a kid. So I went to this steam room and I was like, I'm going to picture this as like a sweat lodge, dude. And I'm going to go in there and I'm going to sit there for an hour. And I was like sitting there and I was like, give me something. Give me, you know, I'm looking for something. Give me some kind of inspiration here of what I'm supposed to do. And it was like, You Are My Sunshine came to me. It was like, You Are My Sunshine. One of the first songs I remember ever hearing in my life. And it was like, use this, dude. And I went immediately from there to the studio. And that what you hear on my song Sunshine is obviously an interpolation of You Are My Sunshine, which is a song that is potentially more popular than a Happy Birthday song. And it's my voice just pitched up, right? It's not a sample. It's actually my voice being pitched up. And
okay. I didn't know
that.
Yeah.
So that actually pitched up, which I was like, okay, this is cool. We got something here. And then to take it into like this raw form of like, there's 3 instruments going on, you know? It's not a big production. It's literally a guitar, a bass, and lo-fi drums. That's it, right? And that was the landscape I was looking for. That was like, with using as little as possible, it feels beautiful and special. And dude, it just came out in a way that feels reminiscent of me rapping. It feels reminiscent of me singing. It kind of has all that. And then Machine Gun Kelly came in and helped me take it home and really do the perfect writing on it. You know, we spent a good amount of time really getting those words right. And like, to me, it's just a song that was like meant to come out, you know?
Yeah, it was all good just a week ago. You hear that and it's so catchy. It was all good just a week ago. And then you go back to your experience of like, yeah, like with this chick, it was all good just a week ago. And what the fuck happened? Now I got like a permanent rain cloud over my head. Yeah. Like those lyrics they resonate, dude. Yeah. And that's such a good song. I remember I listened to it on repeat, like driving up and down the city. I'm like, man, this is deep. And it always hit your songs hit. I don't know. For me, hit me right in the feels every time.
I love
Agreed, yeah.
I really love that. I mean, that's obviously like, you know, the best compliment I could ever get, bro, because that's what I'm searching for, you know.
And congrats on the sobriety, man, by the way. I can't let us get out here without saying that, man. I know that's not an easy thing, man. So congratulations, man. And I'm sure all your fans are super proud of you on that, man, because that's a big deal.
Yeah, bro. I mean, thank you, man. Thank you. That's definitely something that also changed my life. It's definitely it's no surprise that not only did my personal life change immensely, but my career also changed immensely in a positive way from doing that. Like, you know, all these things were kind of, you know, it's the hero's journey, bro. It's like, you know, I've been through it, and you know, I guess my proudest thing about it that goes beyond just like changing my personal life is that like I share that story with people, you know, and I think like in a world that's very open with talking about drug use, it's not very open about talking about sobriety. And I think that being someone that can provide that voice for that community, I mean, I take it as like a big honor, and it's definitely something that, you know, one person a day could tell me, yo, you really helped me, you know, change my life, whether they got sober or whether they chilled out or whether it just touched them to see that people are able to change. Like those are Grammys for me, bro.
And you're getting ready. Let's talk about it, man. You're getting ready to hit the road. We're going to talk about the show that we're excited about, your second home from back in the day. October 9th, Slowdown in Omaha, man. I bet there's going to be tons of people coming out just like me who remember you and remember where you're at now and everything you've succeeded, man. Man, I cannot wait to get out to Slowdown and watch you rock that place, bro. Straight up.
Dude, I'm really, 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 I mean, I have never been more excited for a tour than I am right now, you know, for the last, I mean, almost my whole career. It's like you get ready for a tour, you know, a month out, you know, and then you do, you know, 5 professional rehearsals before you go out, and then you just kind of leave it up to fate. It's like this one, dude, I have an entire full band set up here where I live, and we had started rehearsing a month ago, and like really just being like, dude, I want to be having more fun on stage on this tour and feel more free and feel more musical and feel more tapped in than I ever have before. You know, it's like, you know, I've lived in a very stripped down live world where, I mean, a lot of my touring life has been drummer, guitar player, me, right? And that means that we have a track that's also doing a lot, you know, that's providing bass, synth, extra guitar parts, you know, backing track vocals, stuff like that. And this one, I'm just like, dude, I want there to be as little going on in this track as possible. And so like, I'm building my band out. I have a bigger band than ever. You know, I have my friend who's also playing the tour. His name's No Love for the Middle Child, who he's been making this entire album with me. He's also going to be playing in my band, which he's going to be playing cello and piano and like all these awesome.
Nice.
It's really just going to be like the experience I've wanted to create the entire time. And so, yeah, man, I can't wait. I can't wait to come back to Omaha. I'm so happy that we're not skipping over Omaha, because for so many tours in my career, I end up for some reason not going there, you know, and it's just like, it makes no sense. So, dude, I can't wait. And you guys gotta be there rocking with me, man.
Oh, you ain't gotta worry about that.
You can count on that.
Out.
Yeah. We'll be front and center, rocking right along with you, man, rocking our asses off, singing along with Bones and Sunshine and Annoying and Heavy and whatever you throw our way, dude. You know we're gonna love it.
All right, I'm with it.
Oh shit, dude. I mean, like I said, this is about the best guest we could have, man, for the first year bash to end, man. Like, this is crazy.
Hey,
Congrats
on the year, man.
Yeah. It might have taken a year. We put we manifested this. We knew it would happen. We just kept being resilient. And I mean, we went through friends, we went through publicists, and finally our worlds collided. And it was such an honor to be able to have you on, man. And I've been trying to get you on my radio show, my rock radio show. And I got to show you something, because I left rock radio. I'm in pop radio now. And you were on my friend Corey's radio show, my old radio station. I was there for 20 years.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you can see this or not,
Oh,
but you made this for me.
Yeah, I remember this.
Yep, there it is. You wrote those lyrics, and I said I was going to get a tattoo of it, and I think it's going to happen, dude. I think it's going to happen.
All right, maybe we'll get tattoos on the night I'm in Omaha, bro.
No shit.
Let's do it, man. The city is ours.
Right.
The city loves us. So, yeah, we have all the time in the world for you.
I love it, boys, man. Thank you for having me on, dude. I can't wait to see y'all in person, bro.
All the way, we're gonna fly out and run it wild until the midnight hour.